So I had the chickenpox. Before there was a vaccine for chickenpox. Kids just got the chickenpox, and then you kind of ride with it. It goes away, whatever. So I was wrestling with my big brother on the top of the stairs, and I accidentally tripped down the stairs. He didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. When I was going down, I twisted my knee, but also hit it on a spot right where a chicken pox was. So it burst it underneath the skin, and all of that kind of bacteria kind of went in and attacked my nervous system and also my knee because it was sprained. So you look at my knees, they're like, one's an alien, and one's normal. I even remember in 5th grade, right when I started playing football, and that was like my biggest love ever. My parents would take me into the doctor to check on the knee every now and then. And he was like, "What? You should stop playing football now. You've got an 80-year-old knee, and you're 10 years old, so it's just not in the cards for you." I think I would say that, yeah, I want to play in the NFL. I always did. Like in our senior night, in the little pamphlet everybody gets at the football game, I said, after high school, I want to play in college in the NFL and marry Jenna Lee Grondona, which was my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So
Your NFL career started when?
I got drafted to the Raiders 2012.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit Podcast. What we do on this podcast is bring guests from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life to share their journey and everything along the way that led them to where they're at today. Real conversations, raw emotion, and the kind of human connection that can't be faked. We're here to make an impact, and that is what we do. So if that is for you, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And if that is not for you, I don't know what your problem is, but it's time to jump on board today. Thank you. But without further ado, I would love to introduce today's guest. You probably know him. If you don't, you need to. Mr. Miles Burris, the neighborhood alpha. But there's more to him than that, as we're about to find out. Dude, so good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. There's more to me. I'm also the podcast alpha. So.
He is. He's actually hosting today, but I'm going to ask him. Yeah.
I'm going to be asking questions today, Miss Lady.
Yeah. He's like, you just like pull me up and like you sit here.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I got connected with Miles through our boy, Evan Slaughter.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Friend there.
You like, I DM'd you and you were like, screw this guy. And then Evan, I guess, said something. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I actually am really bad at DMs. I think I'm leaving money on the table too. I check them like not enough at all because I've got so much anxiety about how much I've missed, and it's just always like something I never pencil in for the day. And then Evan told me that you reached out, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll get back to that one.
Yeah, man. So yeah. Evan's a solid dude too, man.
Oh yeah,
he's such a good guy.
he is.
Funny as shit, and he's fun to be around.
He is. Yeah, he's a great dude.
I've been looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, same, man.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Miles, well, I'll kind of cover it for the audience just a little bit of what I know about you. I try not to do too much research just because I kind of like to be new to the individual. Makes it more organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're an ex-NFL player, played for the Raiders.
Yep.
Right?
Raider Nation for life.
Raider Nation. I know. I've seen the fanny pack. I've seen you flexing on them with the fanny
I
pack.
was so pumped when I didn't say anything, but I was pumped when I saw you wearing a fanny pack.
Every day.
Dude, I got that at a Raiders event, and I thought, I'm not a fanny pack guy, but I tried it one day because I was wearing some basketball shorts that didn't have enough pockets, and it would have just been really bulky, and I put it on, and within an hour, I looked at my wife. I was like, dude, not ironically, I think I'm a fanny pack guy now. It's just so convenient.
I've worn one every day for the past, I can't tell you how many years.
Really?
And I love the JanSport ones. But, if you like want to promote your fanny pack, just let me know. I will wear it every day. So just FYI. But I don't know what it is. I just started wearing them, man. And it's like, my wife will be like, well, I can't find my keys or this. And I'm like, I'm not worried about my shit, honey. It's all right here, It's like
Sounds like a you problem.
I know. Sounds like exactly. My daughter's like always trying to get in. I'm like, don't get in daddy's fanny pack.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Serious stuff. But yeah, man, I worn it every day, dude, and then like it's kind of become just a staple. Like people recognize that.
Yeah.
But also it is extremely convenient just to have everything set right there.
Dude.
Makes life easy.
Oh yeah.
Now if I dress up like in a suit, I might not be wearing a fanny pack, but it's like the only time.
Well, a bedazzled one or like a sick one you could put on.
I could get a custom made one. I know a guy that makes hats here in town.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's talk to that guy.
Get him in the fanny pack business.
Yeah, make this sick. Dude,
Dude, we'll both wear them.
If anybody makes fun of you, here's the perfect thing to do with the fanny pack. You say, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right, man. I got something just for you. You pull that out of it.
Yeah, you want some of this? I did a video one day. I was like, you know why I carry one? I was sitting in my vehicle, and I started grabbing shit from like the seat. I was like, pulled out a bottle of water and like my gun and like 10 items that would not fit in the fanny pack. And I was like, see? And everybody's like, wait, what? You put all that in there? And I was like, I can't believe you believe that. But I do want to ask, so ex-NFL player, Oakland Raiders, that's Raider Nation for life. You know, you do some acting. You are an influencer on IG. I don't know where else you have like a very heavy presence, but I do follow you. I have followed you on there for quite some time. Love your stuff.
Likewise.
Now, that's, you know, some of the basics. I know you're a family man.
Mm-hmm.
What does life look like for you today, though, in the present?
So currently right now on the summer schedule, my kids are going to camp, but usually getting up between 6 and 6:30. Kind of getting ready, sit outside, spend some time with the big man upstairs, and then, you know, my kids will come interrupt me at some point, and I get them ready, and kind of to go drop them off, come back home, and get in what I can fit in, essentially, if I got to film some stuff or kind of ideate or obviously get a workout in, those kinds of things, and by 5 p.m. I got to be done. And then it's kind of family time up until I put the kids down. And if I got other stuff to get done after that, I will. And try to crash at an early hour, but it's never consistent, you know.
Never. I always, every day, I'm like, I'm going to get to bed earlier tonight.
Yes.
And guess what I don't do?
Get to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tell myself that every single day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, damn it, man, just once. And it takes a lot of time. I know, you know, you do a lot of content creation. A lot of people out there that just don't understand the work that goes into that.
Yeah.
And your videos and stuff are pretty, it's not like you're just looking at the camera recording, you know, like you've got scenes and stuff. And I know by editing podcasts and like doing some stuff like that, that takes hours.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yes.
And you got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really understand how that goes. They just see a lot of times people from the outside look at influencing or stuff like that. And they're like, oh, just making videos for the internet. And I'm like, try it out for 1 year, see how you do.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I envy some of the creators that they're just, you know, they made it big on some sort of format and they're just doing their front camera or something.
Yeah.
But I got into content creation maybe like a year and a half ago or so, year and a half or two ago, because, you know, I played for the NFL or played for the Raiders and played through my rookie contract. My knee retired before I did. I chased it for a couple of years trying to get healthy and taking a bunch of workouts. It just wasn't quite the same, long story short. And got into acting after that because I knew I was going to give that a shot, you know, after football.
Yeah.
And, you know, got opened some doors very quickly and was booking a bunch of projects. Even my first audition ever. And I was kind of like, oh, I guess this is like, I'm going to be a superhero next year at this pace. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you get slapped in the face with the reality of just what acting is. And you're like, oh, 6 months drought, you know, a bunch of auditions, just silent rejections. And you're like, wait, what's wrong with me? And you talk to everybody like, that's just what it is, dude. And I was like, well, I can't do that as an athlete. You know, I can't just train. And there's no, so I started screenwriting. So between all these acting gigs for several years, I wrote a bunch of screenplays and kind of built that craft up and, you know, had one of my specs kind of catch a little fire in Hollywood and at least give me enough interest to, you know, get a good rep and, you know, meetings with CAA and some other production companies CAA, but Netflix and some other production companies. And just realized, okay, this also could be, you know, 5 years before I ever see this on screen. And, you know, the reason I started writing is so I could get, you know, more jobs and, you know, they'd have to probably get a name for the role that I wanted to play that I wrote instead of me. And also hit a weird spot in my acting career where it's kind of a tweener in the sense of like, I'd done enough stuff to where I'm auditioning for bigger roles that are also being offered out to bigger names. So they don't have to audition, but I'll go through the whole audition process and kind of be pinned. Like it's between you and one other guy, hold the dates, you know, you could fly out at any time. And then finally one of the A-listers was like, yeah, I'll take it. You know, and it's like, you're out of here.
I was going to take a break, but I guess I'll be in this one.
So I dealt with one too many of those and I was just like, all right, screw this. I'm going to parlay that screenwriting time into content. And all I knew is again, like Hollywood, scenes, dialogue, character, rhythm, pacing, and that's, how I had to attack the content, but that makes it a little harder because you're shooting, and a lot of times, in the beginning, especially, I'm playing all the roles, and, I'm kind of improvising this side and filling the gaps in the other, and then, I have to learn how to edit on the fly because I was like the 90s kid who had to wait for his older brother to get home to plug in the Super Nintendo because I don't know how to do the red, white, and yellow ones.
Yeah.
Not tech savvy. So, the editing on that can take hours, and, I can clean up the timing just a little more and watch it back, and you lose another 3, and that's frustrating. But so it's
those little details.
Yeah,
dude.
it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. But luckily, I've found, an audience of people that dig it, and it's like probably the biggest piece of advice I could tell any actors or artists because especially in Hollywood, you kind of have like very little control. You have your craft, and really that's it.
Yeah.
Because you can't be the actor that's like cold calling people. It's just, you can't show any desperation you can't also fake not being desperate. So you got to find a way to get to a place where you're not. And what helped me with that is finding some control, which was, okay, I could spend 20, 30 hours on an audition for, like a Reacher. The first season of Reacher, I was going out for one of the main bad guys, and I remember reading that whole book it was based on, and reading this whole, pilot twice, and, coaching with my acting coach to film it, and going over it and over the auditions, over and over it. And, I think casting called my agent, was like, that's exactly what we were looking for. But he looks too much like Alan Richardson. We can't have him as,
You're like, actually, I look better.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that. But with content, it's like you could ideate something. It's like, I dig this. I think this is funny. And you spend all that time, and it immediately goes out, and a bunch of people see it, and you get immediate feedback. You find out what works, what plays, what doesn't, what to go into more. And that's really exciting. And that has opened more doors in Hollywood for me in the past year than like ever, as 7 or 8 years of just traditionally going out for auditions and having to beat everybody out. I'd never had like one where they're like, you're the guy, here's the offer. I've had like 10 of those in the past year.
That's really interesting, man. Is like, we're going to dive more into this too after we take it back. But I think about it with like podcasting, right? I started this show as like not someone famous. And starting a podcast is like a nobody. It ain't easy work, dude.
Oh, man.
Being consistent, it kind of takes you a lot of time. It's a tough thing to do, but then it grows and grows and grows. You get seen more and more and more. I mean, you just got to stay consistent with it, right?
How often do you post?
I put an episode out every week.
Yeah. That's super consistent. Wow.
Yeah. So for almost 200 episodes, man.
Good.
And
congrats.
Appreciate that, man.
So almost 4 years, dude.
Yeah.
Golly.
And it's like, in course, in my head, I'm a big vision guy. Like kind of like you going after the Hollywood stuff, right? Like you want these big opportunities. Mm-hmm. You want to work towards that. And like I'm working towards the big sponsorships. I'd love to have like a energy drink deal with like Red Bull or Ghost or something like that. Like that would be amazing. That'd be life changing, And I know I put in the work to get there. It's all about getting connected with the right people, right? Mm-hmm. Having the right conversations, and those opportunities will come. And I believe in that. But just doing the work and waiting for that doesn't pay the bills, And so how do you get better at your craft, but pull it in line with what you're doing already? It kind of goes to your point. Like you're creating content, all this stuff, and it's opened up more doors for, the Hollywood stuff, right? So you figured out how to, like, rather than quit, you're like, well, I can still build towards that, but there's something I can do proactively every day that's going to give me more opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how can I use the camera and other people's stories, or like, bring them into maybe promote what they're doing or what they're going after? Maybe it could be real estate. It could be someone that's just an influencer that wants to share their story, and I could prompt it a certain way, or just to go do video work for people, right? Like those things are just going to help me build towards those big vision opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. And it just makes me better at what I'm doing anyways. Like you're probably a better actor now by doing content all the time than you were when you first started just going for the Hollywood gigs.
Dude, 100%.
You
learn so much in it because it kind of forces you in the content game to be the writer, you think through the shots, the director, the actor.
Yeah.
You're having to multitask in a way and feel some of the things on a smaller scale that somebody is on a Hollywood set or whatever. But it helps you to just see it through a bigger lens. I always tell people, like, when it comes to content, like, do don't just do what you think is going to pop off with the audience, or, you know, what you think might trend or whatever, and put a bunch of effort into that. Because if it's not what you're really into, if it like goes belly up, you're going to be pissed. But if it doesn't take off right away, but it's something you love, and you'll keep doing it long term because you love it anyways, and that'll put you in a position to succeed.
And eventually people will love it. You know, it'll eventually gets noticed.
Yes, because what you're into, there's a huge demographic of people that are also into that thing, no matter how niche it is. It just needs to be out there consistently enough, long enough for people to see, oh, that's there. Okay, great.
Yeah, and that's how you build your brand. And they're going to see it if it's not you, if it doesn't fit who you are. I think even if you get some explosive videos, in time, people will see that. They'll be like, oh, it doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
Right? So there's something to be said about that too. Like, even if it doesn't impress everybody right off the bat, eventually they'll see that authenticity over time. They're like, oh, but this is real. This is who this is. You know, it fits who they are, makes sense. And then it builds traction that way as well, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so hell yeah, man. Well, I'm proud of you for like taking that and turning it into something. And we're going to dive more into that because there's more to that story as well.
Yeah.
More that led to that. But right now, let's take it back. Take it to the early days of Miles.
Way back when.
Where do you hail from?
So I was born in Sacramento. Well, was I born in Sacramento or Roseville Hospital? I don't know. But I grew up in Roseville and then Granite Bay area. When I was 4, I think I turned 5 in the hospital. So I had the chickenpox.
What?
Before there was a vaccine for chickenpox. Kids just got the chickenpox, and then you kind of ride with it, and it goes away, whatever.
Yeah.
So I had those, and I was wrestling with my big brother on the top of the stairs, and I accidentally tripped down the stairs. He didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. And when I was going down, I twisted my knee, but also hit it on a spot right where a chickenpox was, so it burst it underneath the skin. And all of that kind of bacteria kind of went in and attacked my nervous system and also my knee because it was sprained. So you look at my knees, they're like, one's an alien, and one's normal. And, so from the time I was, 5, or I even remember in 5th grade, right when I started playing football, and that was like my biggest love ever. My parents would take me into the doctor to check on the knee every now and then. And he was like, "What? You should stop playing football now. Like, you're not going to make it through high school. And I'm sure you maybe have ambitions of, playing in college. It's just not going to happen. Maybe switch to punter. That would be okay. But you've got an 80-year-old knee, and you're 10 years old. So it's just not in the cards for you."
Damn.
And
listen, guys, stop shooting down my dreams.
Yeah. So when I was almost died in the hospital from that.
That's insane.
And had a post-traumatic arthritis from that injury and infection in the knee, and was kind of had that impossibility built into my body, but was just so on fire, passionate for football. As soon as I put the pads on. And I remember going upstairs or going up the street and telling my mom immediately, like, I want to play in the NFL. This is the best thing ever,
Yeah.
I'm running around hitting people and getting applauded for it,
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, that's great, honey. Of course."
Sure.
And I was like, call dad, because I want to tell him, it's a business trip. And it's told him the same thing. But that was kind of like the path to the draft for me. It was like, man, I love this. I want to do this forever. I want to do this at the highest level, and was praying every night. And I think it was those prayers and God alone that allowed me to be able to play at the next in the NFL.
Yeah.
And even though I had this kind of ticking time bomb knee, with really no reason for me to get there. I mean, when you look at the scans and the thing I was stacked up against, it was just one of those kind of, you have this, but God moments,
Yeah. So your parents, but they still supported that dream. They weren't like, maybe you shouldn't, or were you just like, yeah, keep going if that's what you want?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
They supported it, and that was cool. My dad played college football, and I think they kind of knew. He never pushed me into sports and was never, pressured me or anything, but it's just like when you see passion in your kids, it's just like support that and fuel it,
Yeah. I mean, I see it even today. My parents, like they see my fire and my passion, right?
Yeah.
They know how tough it's been, the road, right? But they're like, just keep going, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear your dad say, like, I wish he'd been in corporate America his whole life. And he's like, I wish I would have like taken a chance like that.
Yeah.
And that sticks with you. It's like, well, then I'm not just doing this for me now.
Right.
Like, like I'm carrying his dreams forward in a way. Does that make sense?
Oh,
and
100%.
so, and you always want your kids to do better than you.
Yeah.
You want them to do that. Like I want I want to go so far, but I want my daughter to go above that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just
Yes.
in whatever direction she chooses. And I think that's that legacy thing. That's the stuff that matters, right? But you don't teach them that by stopping,
Yeah.
right?
That's it.
So it's just staying consistent and keeping that alive. What would you say, that's a pretty crazy thing to happen to your knee. I mean, just the chances of like you falling on that one chicken pox and it just like wrecking you. But I think it was all purposeful. It was almost like a fated thing.
Oh, it really was. When you think about like that put me a little behind in, I think it was kindergarten, because I missed I missed a bunch of days in the hospital. Maybe it was preschool, and so I wasn't prepared for kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so my teacher at the end of the year told my mom, I think, he doesn't have to do kindergarten again, but a transitional first grade. So it's kind of like getting held back before I go to real first grade.
Yeah.
And I remember being really upset about that when I got the news because your friends are in your grade, but it worked out so well. Just being a little more, I was a late bloomer too. So like, just being 1 year more advanced for my age group, in football and sports, but more importantly, meeting my best friend, Devin Wiley, who we had a, crazy story, God rest his soul, but he got drafted to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like we grew up, we were inseparable. Like I spent every weekend at his house growing up, and that's how I came to know Jesus and get saved. And he would take me. I would go to church because they went to church. I would go to Hume Lake Christian Camp because they went, and that's where his dad led me through the prayer. He was kind of like a second father to me. It was just a critical time in my life where I needed that, and so I had that group of friends, and we were all tight. But then more importantly, I met my wife, who was the same grade as me, and had I been the grade above, I probably wouldn't have dated her.
So when you meet, how old were you when you met her?
I was 16. Yeah, I was 16. She was still 15, and we hit it off really quick. And technically, she asked me out. She asked me to Sadie Hawkins dance, and
nice.
That's
so she came after you.
Yeah, and then I asked her out that night officially.
I guess it worked out.
Yeah. And I'm one of those guys that people this look or whatever. It's like, I've never had game. I've never had to have game. I had enough to pull my girl that I never, I got it right the first try. She's amazing. It was right at a time of my life too, where I could have gone down a bad path, and she always kept me, Jesus was always like the number one thing in her life and mine. And I knew that was the truth, but I was always wanting to sway, and she kind of kept me in line, and it was the best thing that's happened to me, man. So I got it right the first try. We dated all through college, did the long distance thing.
Oh, shit.
I got drafted to the Raiders 2012.
I do. Before we go to the draft part, I do want to ask a couple questions while we're on the childhood part of it. One, I always think I want to make a couple statements too. I think it's so fascinating, people finding their like that person that early.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back to like when I was that age, and I was like, well, I probably thought I did several times.
Sure, yeah.
And then, I didn't meet my wife until I was over 30. It's just kind of crazy how like there's so much relatability like in our paths, like, just through adversities or whatever the case is and things maybe we faced. But then there's so much difference. Yeah. And I think that's cool too, because, you look at that gap, right? Like I had to go through all kinds of relationships. I've been engaged twice before I met her. Yeah. And then I met her, right? And so I think it's a blessing to be able to find that at such a young age too, and just like carry that through, the rest of your life. So beautiful thing for you guys. And I think the biggest piece of it is too, like even since my wife and I met just a handful of years ago, we've changed so much, and we've worked through a lot of things. Like you're always changing, like day to day, month to month, like there's so many changes. I'm not who I was when I met her. I'd say I'm better. I'd say, you're constantly working, right? But then starting at that age, like you're changing so much from then to 37 like you are now. And so I think that's really cool to be able to like grow and change together for that long. I mean, it's a huge commitment, man. So props to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. It hasn't always been easy.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah. To your point, she met me when I was a kid, and now I'm a man, and I was a clam when she first met me, so she got me to open up first, and that was good.
Really? You're pretty quiet?
Yeah, I just always kept to myself, and I think I've always had the ability, like, I guess what it would be like an extroverted introvert, where I can jump in the deep end publicly, but I'm very drained by social interactions, and I refill just getting alone. And I like solitude sometimes, especially when it comes to like the work of things. I think that's what I like about screenwriting, or just even training for football. There's just a lot of you in the weight room, you versus you, on the field, in the film room, and you're getting better through all of that, but you're just in this dark room for hours and hours, and that work comes to light at some point, and that you're pushing towards that.
I relate to you there, man.
Yeah.
I love this kind of social interaction,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'm not very extroverted. Like I like going, like I'm going tomorrow. I like being behind the camera and just being that guy. I can put a headphone in and just get in my zone.
Yeah.
I like sitting here editing for hours. Mm-hmm. Like I find peace in that solitude. So I relate to that. Like, when to flip the switch, but you know what you prefer too.
Oh yeah.
In that way.
My son's very extroverted, so he's the opposite of me. But
okay.
We'll go to some social event, and he'll be just like wired before bed and all. He gets his energy being around people. I love that about him. He's the best. But
I love that. I want to ask before, because we're kind of going into your NFL career, are there any other maybe significant events or memories you have from childhood, from maybe somebody that impacted you on a deep level, something that carried into who you are today that like really sticks out?
I think, again, going back to my youth, and his name was Doug Wiley. He was my best friend, Devin Wiley's father.
Yeah.
And I spent so much time over there, but he would just always look at me, and he was just very outgoing, charismatic guy. And he would just look at me with his eyes. He goes, "God, wow, look at you, man! Dude, you're gonna be a giant, man. Look at you. Your dad's so big. You're gonna be in the NFL." Or he would just like speak things over me that I was hoping would be true, and or my dreams. And I think I've got some talent, or I think I might be. And he introduced me to the weight room and got bench press, and this is cool. This is manly. This is where you can achieve dreams and get strong and become, and just really introduced me to a lot of really cool things like that, but got me to believe in myself. And
that's cool.
Just one of the most, beautiful spirits that I've ever known, and been through a lot in his life, and just continues to show up.
Are you still close with them?
Yeah. I need to reach out to him again soon, but we still keep in touch pretty good.
Yeah. Life gets crazy, man.
It does.
I often think about people I need to follow up with, and it just kills me.
It's hard, man. It's, between family and trying to, it's a weird dichotomy too, when you're raising kids and you need to invest time in them, and you want to be around them so much, and it's at the same time that you're trying to build a business up. So there's this constant pull of, you're with your kids, and you're like, oh, gosh, I gotta get more done over here. When am I going to get that done? And you're kind of not, you have to fight being present. And then when I'm working, it's like, man, I just want to be with my kids right now.
Yes, dude. I think it comes down to, and you brought it up, bandwidth, man.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're a lot like me in some of these ways. Like, you're so focused on, people are like, don't be just so focused on work. But at the end of the day, like, this is for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're at the forefront of it. But my family is everything. So it's like my business and my family are like number one. Well, obviously my family is number one, but that's where all my focus goes. And I don't know if you're like me, but when you get some alone time, you could call somebody. You probably look at your phone and you're like, dude, I just don't have it in me.
Yeah, just drained.
Do you feel guilt about it?
I do oftentimes. It's sometimes, especially if it's like I haven't called my folks in a while. Just even reaching out to your parents sometimes becomes hard to manage and keep up with and stay consistent on. Let alone all the friendships I want to stay on top of, but can't. It's tough.
And like, I hope you understand. It's nothing against y'all. It's not that I don't care. It's just like, I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's this constant battle, right? This constant tension, but you just do the best you can.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's it.
But that guilt can be consuming sometimes, because you just feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Most businesses try to solve one problem at a time. These guys built something different. Nashville Fit, Bodywell, and B2 Wellness Suites. 3 brands operating as one ecosystem. Community, collaboration, and wellness all under one roof. Nashville Fit runs a results-driven media network built for businesses at every level. Whether you're trying to grow your brand, sharpen your performance, or get back on track, this is where expert coaching meets real accountability. Bodywell is your starting point for event staffing. Fitness, massage, wellness experiences brought directly to your corporation, your big event, your race. Whatever you're running, they show up ready. And B2 Wellness Suites is a collective of health and wellness professionals, each with their own specialty, all working towards one goal, helping you feel your best in a co-working environment that's relaxing to be in. Here's what makes it work. It's not just 3 separate businesses doing their own thing. Every piece is built to support the others. Advertising, coaching, accountability, wellness, all connected so you don't have to figure it out alone. If you're ready for a smarter, more complete approach, check out Nashville Fit, Bodywell, and B2 Wellness Suites. Links are in the description below. And how old are you guys, by the way?
My boy is 6 years old, and my daughter will be 4 next month.
So that's cool. And I was going to ask that. I guess y'all met so young, and I know a lot of people that got pregnant pretty early. What made y'all wait further down the line?
Yeah, I think it's just we weren't in a rush to have kids, and also like I've always been in a career that's very I guess unstable, if you will, or not predictable, not secure. With the NFL, and you could be traded at any moment, go to any city, or released, and you just don't know where life's going. So you're renting everywhere, and then acting, you never know when your next job's coming. And but also, my wife also, she grew up always babysitting, like from a young age, and she's like, I know what that work is, and I'm not racing to get there either. So we got married young, and probably had like 7 years before we had our boy. Yeah, of just us two. And that was great.
First of all, so you were going through high school. Was it pretty easy for you to go play college ball somewhere? And where did you go, to play? Were you like a linebacker the whole time or what?
Yeah, I was always linebacker. The unique thing with my high school is it was a big football high school. And we had a big population, and also a lot of kids that played football. So we had like 90 guys on the varsity roster. And so one of their strategies or mentalities was everybody plays one side of the ball, they play one position, and so we're going to be fresher in the fourth quarter kind of thing. And so I had to like make a business decision freshman year of high school of like, okay, I watched Walter Payton highlights every day. I wanted to be a running back and tote the rock and Mike Allstott, like we talked about. But if I look at my dad and his size, and I'll probably land best to have the longest career as a linebacker, so that's what I chose.
So logistical about it. You're like, oh God, you got to be precise.
Yeah,
that's
but
awesome.
You know what it was? It was like from there, it was like, okay, now you just kind of romanticize what it would be like to be, the best possible linebacker,
knocking heads off.
You're just watching highlights of Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher and Zach Thomas and all these dudes that you aspire to be like, and then putting their pictures all over your wall, and then now it's like nothing's cooler than linebacker.
Linebacker's always been known as like one of the cooler positions too.
Yeah, dude.
Because like you're basically just a headhunter.
Yeah,
you're like, who do I destroy right now?
See ball, get ball. And that was honestly like I talked about. I got rough ADD, so I was very just much an instinctive player, like see ball, get ball. And I started my first acting, my first acting job was probably, going into the combine and pretending like I knew what I was talking about on the whiteboard.
Really?
Yeah, I went to my college defensive coordinator, Rocky Long, who was he was the head coach at that point, and I was like, hey, help me talk through some of these defenses. So before I go to the combine, it sounds like I know.
Okay. You didn't have like knowledge of like the map or like how it looked. You just knew what to do.
Yeah, it was my football brain was similar to like my math brain. Like as soon as the test is over and I walk out the door, it all left. My brain just wouldn't hold on to stuff like that, the X's and O's. I could know enough to just kind of know what I had to do.
Same.
And then it's just okay. Now it's all instincts. And the more that I had to be in a position to think and I started my rookie year at will linebacker, off the ball, kind of weak side linebacker, where I kind of could just like fly around and not think as much. But then I started at Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, kind of calling the plays and having to, get everybody lined up and make the checks when, freaking Peyton Manning does like 4 audibles before the play starts, and that would always kind of take me out of my game a little bit, where I'm having to think, and the more you have to think, the less kind of just instincts you can play with.
Yeah. It's like you never remember what an audible is. I don't know. I always struggle with like, he's calling it audible. I don't know. He's changed shit up, pretty much.
He said Omaha. I don't know.
Whatever that means.
I was envied the defensive lineman or the rush linebacker.
Just go straight.
You're just going to rush the passer every time. Set the edge. You're good, dude.
That's so funny. What was that experience like going through? Where did you go to college at again?
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Cool. And I guess, you don't have to dive too much into the college thing if you don't want to at all, unless there's something, crazy significant there. I assume your wife went to the same school or?
No, she went to Azusa Pacific for a year, and then she finished out at UC Santa Barbara.
Okay. What was it like, because I imagine like your goal is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go into identity and stuff because I think there's a lot there, especially with your injury. But going into the NFL, what was that like, that experience? I mean, because you're working your whole life towards something. I mean, did you firmly believe that was going to happen, or was it like, were you just overwhelmed with like surprise and joy? Like, what was that like? Because, I mean, most boys, every boy that plays football at some point dreams of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then very few make that accomplishment, right? So,
yeah,
what was that like?
Man, a lot of it was grace, I think, of just me getting there. And honestly, it just went so fast while I was there that it was hard to really process, what exactly I was feeling or how to feel about it, because I was just drinking out of a fire hose from day one. And, one of the guys was injured that was going to start at will. And so I'm like from day one kind of with the starting squad and I just ran with it, and I started that whole season and kind of learned on the fly, made mistakes on the fly, but made some good plays. And, in some, I didn't have like a blueprint. Like I was thinking like, okay, Derek Carr, who I played with, and he had David Carr before him. So you kind of knew what to expect or, where he's tracking maybe. And it could believe a little more, okay, yeah, I'm going to the league or whatever. I think I would say that, I want to play in the NFL. I always did. Like in our senior night in the little pamphlet everybody gets at the football game, I said after college I want to, or after high school, I want to play in college in the NFL and marry Jenna Lee Grondona, which was my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So those things happen, and I'm grateful. But I can't say that I was always super confident that would happen. I was a worrywart a lot of the time, and
the what ifs.
Yeah, the what ifs. I go to college and I end up redshirting my first year, and then not even starting my redshirt freshman year, and we also go like 2-10, and I'm just like, what? Do I transfer? Like what was going on here? And I think there's a lot to just, sticking things out and working really hard, because things will shake out, if you don't lose heart and you keep grinding.
Just believing that it's going to work out.
Yeah, as best you can, taking the actions when you don't feel any belief at all of somebody that does believe it's going to work out, and
and everybody else, you don't know what they're thinking. It's like I heard my friend say there's a, he came on the show, but he talks about, getting to play guitar for Gene Simmons and, Ace Frehley, and he's in this huge metal band in Europe that's like huge stadium tours, right? And, getting to that level, though, you almost have to have this delusion, like a belief in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you almost look delusional. You're not delusional. Like you get there.
Yeah.
I feel like, maybe there's some kind of sense of that too. Like you kind of just got to be delusional and just have faith.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes down to faith. I mean, but to me, I mean, I've even had people that used to be friends be like, you're never going to succeed.
Yeah.
And that shit cuts. But at the same time, it just like, it almost like makes it more real too. You're like, I'm hearing that for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not everybody else gets told these things. So,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just have to have something there to like keep going.
Yeah, you can use that. You can use all of it. I think there's certain moments too where you feel it in your body while you're doing something. Like, I've got it. Like, this is special, and so then that can increase belief. I know for me, like even as an actor, I know I have the ability to have a great acting career.
When did you start taking the acting stuff?
I took the class in college.
Okay.
That was kind of born from like being so beat up in college every day because it was 2 days. They just wore you out that I would just go to a red box or rent a bunch of movies, and all I wanted to do when I was at home was just veg out on my bed and watch movies.
Yeah.
I was on like his Brad Pitt kick, going through all of the stuff he'd been in with Fight Club and Troy.
I love Brad Pitt stuff.
Dude, it's just like, man, he's playing all these different characters, and that looks like it'd be a fun job
killer,
in life. And,
yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'd be any good at it or like it, but I certainly won't. I have an inkling that maybe I would, and I want to give it a shot when football's all done. But I was very tunnel vision on football, so I did take in acting class that summer. I told my dad and my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, Jenna, that was about it.
Yeah.
And then kind of shelved it until football was certainly done and got into it after that.
Sweet, man. Your NFL career started when?
2012.
2012?
Yeah, I got drafted, and then the next day I proposed to my wife, Jenna, and we got, 10 weeks later we got married, and she came with me to Oakland and started my rookie year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so, the NFL was great. It's a lot of pressure, but it was a really cool situation as far as, like, it was the closest team to my hometown. So
yeah.
my family was rocking at every game, every home game. It's a 90-minute drive. I grew up going to Raiders games, and so it was, like,
cool.
It was really full circle and special.
Yeah, getting to be on a team that also, like, meant so much to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sick.
And, the silver lining of, having a shorter career than I should have or could have, the injury, is that I played all of my years with the Raiders. So there's no divided loyalties of, like, I also played over here and here.
Yeah.
I'm a Raider through and through, and the fan base is really cool, and they still rock with me, and the Raiders organization still does. They got a great alumni department. We've collaborated a little bit this offseason as well on some reels, and I still go out there for a good amount of stuff. Also, another full circle moment, I'll be in the Madden movie later this year. I think it comes out Thanksgiving Day.
Sweet,
so
dude.
I got to play Raiders legend, who I've known for 20 years, Phil Villapiano.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, famous legendary linebacker for the Raiders in the 70s and 80s. And, yeah, man, silver and black, bleed it.
That's sick, man.
Mm-hmm.
How long was your NFL career?
It was, 3 years, technically 4. 2015, I injured my knee again and then was released injured, but got credited a season where I was technically, still with the Raiders and was paid and stuff, but wasn't really with the team. And that was the end of my rookie contract. And then it took about a year to get healthy from that injury before I could start taking workouts again for another year. And it just, my first mini camp I had back, it was just like, I just wasn't able to handle the pounding of how much activity and how long you're on your feet and the double days and the walkthroughs. And it just blew up to the size of a softball day one. And, the good part of that is that I'll never look back and be like, I don't know, I think I had more ball in me, dude. I mean, my 2014 season, it was shocking what I would have to go through to just be able to bend my knee enough on game day to play. It was just, I called myself the one-legged bandit. I'd call my brother after the game, hey, one-legged bandit made out with another 10 tackles.
Yeah, that's impressive. What exactly, how did he get injured?
It was from that childhood injury. So there was there was a lot of, and then I had a surgery, and I think it was kind of a botched surgery, if I'm being honest, because it never fully recovered. If I could take anything back, I wouldn't have gotten that first cleanup surgery after my rookie year on my knee. I would have just strengthened everything above and below the joint and trained properly and kept it in a good spot there, because I think they took even more meniscus out, which it didn't have much, and then there was a bunch of bone-on-bone spots. So then it took forever to heal, and I would go to, plant my leg in the ground and cut, and I just didn't know if sometimes it was going to hit that ice pick spot, and then my leg turns to jello and nothing fires. That was a tough spot, because I just had to be in this, to a much lesser degree than the military, but just like this warrior mindset of, just damaging my knee more every day and trying to make it through and trying to not show anybody that I'm hurt and not tell any of the coaches or people, and I'm flying on, the off days to different states to get crazy treatments, because just desperate, try to, make it extended. And
sounds like it took quite the mental toll.
Yeah, 100%.
When did you spent 2 years, like, after release, trying to get back, and obviously you had to make a decision. What did that do to you as a person, right? Like, what made that decision? Like, all right, dude, this isn't going to continue. Yep. How did that affect you? Because would you say that your identity was a football player at that point?
Yeah. And I'd had a lot of, like, good mentors, and kind of grew up in the church to a degree to kind of know, like, don't make your identity anything you do, but there is a part of that just is inevitable if that's what you're doing and you've been introduced your whole life as Miles, the football player. I don't know, NFL player that's retired, even gone out with the sunset on a Super Bowl the way they wanted to after 10 plus years, that didn't have a depression afterwards. because you could relate. A lot of military guys can relate to this on a much more severe spectrum, but like you get out, everything was so scheduled for you. You know exactly what you're doing. You can just follow rules easier. It's just that that freedom of having to do something, of the discipline.
There's freedom in the structure.
Yeah,
you know,
you're just thrown to the world. So I can do anything. Wait, what do I do? I knew guys that would like order IKEA furniture just to like have something to tell them what to do to assemble it. Just because they wanted some order, Yeah, so it was tough. I think the thing that was the nail in the coffin was I was in Minnesota at a mini camp, and it was that day one where it blew up to the size of a softball. In that 2-year gap, I would travel a bit, and we'd keep training, and whenever we're traveling somewhere, we'd go to different churches and such. But I would have like random people I didn't even know. Like I remember in Arizona, at my own church one time, it was kind of like a charismatic church a little bit, and there was this guy that was kind of just given these words and to people. He's like, "There's been a miscommunication on your destiny." I was like, "Wait, what?" I wasn't willing to hear anything that I'm going back to the NFL. I'm going to deflect this. Yeah,
deflect.
And then somewhere around that time, I was in Arizona. I didn't know it was kind of another church like that, and randomly this pastor like looks at me. He said that there's a calling on your life to go to Hollywood at the right time. God is taking you to Hollywood. I was like, well, that's weird. And that was been on my heart for a while, and I'll still pocket that. I'm going to the NFL. Yeah. So there's just things where it was like, man, there's not a coincidence. Like,
nothing is.
Yeah. So I took that path when it was all done, and he kept opening doors for me. So.
Oh yeah, man. You said you were scared to tell your wife it was over. What were you afraid she would see when you said that?
I don't know. It was hard to face that it was over. I remember I was pretty depressed on the couch for a couple of days just watching Parks and Rec, and she was like, all right, you talked about the acting thing. So she kind of was the catalyst to get me going and got me signed up for an acting class and got my profile set up on Actors Access and that kind of thing. But she handled it all really well. I remember when I told her I got released from the Raiders, we went out to eat, and I was like, so I got released, and she like smiled, and I was like, oh, I didn't, I can't remember why she did, but it was just like, it was a relief for me that she wasn't all up in arms about it and really upset or worried.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah. I can't remember her full response. I just remember being comforted by it.
Yeah. So that day, I wondered, the day it was done, you moved forward, thinking on who Miles was, with that stripped away. If you could tell yourself, like, hey, this is who I am, like, who were you with that gone and out of your life?
I was always a big faith guy. And so it was like, okay, I know I'm a child of God above all else, but I also got to have a job. I also got to work, and I felt really disappointed, and honestly a lot of shame around the NFL career I had. I wasn't on a winning team. I did get to start. It was a real blessing, and I had hundreds of tackles and all that stuff. But, you always want more. I wanted to have that decade plus career, and
you felt like you didn't get to maximize it.
Yeah, I just felt like I had more in me. I had so much talent in me that was kind of throttled by my knee or just different circumstances. And I remember after my rookie season being really honored. Like I did get some Pro Bowl votes, from some of the other players from different teams and things. And I remember that's so cool. But you're just always chasing more, of like, oh, I want to make the Pro Bowl now. I want to be all pro. And that never ends. So when your mind subconsciously goes to work on what the standard is, when you've never really defined it, you're always kind of falling short, as opposed to looking back at where you came from and how far you've come and how big of a deal it is to just have what you have right now.
Just being grateful for every bit of it.
100%.
Yeah. And even like I found like in the darkest moments and the heaviest things, like lies the most gold to be grateful for. Does that make sense? Because in there's something so deep and like beautiful that you can find that's like, you can't find anywhere else, I guess. It's like you don't understand gratitude until you can find it in the toughest places.
Yeah.
That's
it.
And it seems like you found that. And before I asked this, what was the very next step? So, obviously you said you went through some sort of depression. There was like to a level, maybe an identity crisis, but faith grounded you a lot. And I'd say your wife too, based on what you said. So those are two important things that I want to dive into the faith aspect towards the end of this. But what was the next step? Because you did realize, like, I got to make a move. I want to have a family and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So I went to these classes, and the teacher was telling me, you're good at this, and start going out for auditions. And my first audition I went out for, I booked, and I didn't know what the project really was, or who was in it, or how to even look that kind of stuff up. And I didn't know if it was a small project or a big one. And so, but I get to set, and it was like a big production, and I met like Randall Park was the lead of it. And so I'm like, oh, this is, my first taste on set was like a legit high budget production.
Yeah.
And it was a pilot. It didn't get picked up to series, but it was a great experience for me to be a part of. I was a guest star in it and had some lines, and it was like the first, just honestly, what was it? The rehearsal. I get there and they're like, oh yeah, step in on the rehearsal. And I did my line, and I, put a really weird, country accent on this, dumb character. And
what's the line?
I can't. He was like so dumb. He talked like the Hulk. And so they're all talking, doing their thing. And then they looked at me, and I go, I think it was billionaire angry, and they were so sideswiped by it. It stopped the whole rehearsal, and everyone started laughing. And so, from that moment I was like, oh, like I moved on from football. It's like, this is really fun. From action to cut, like it's live. You got to go and you got to perform, and there's a little bit of that electricity that you have on the field.
Yeah,
just in a different context and way less violent, and 300-pounders are not chasing me, and I could do it forever. And so I was like, okay, this is it. Now I was just so passionate about that, which I was so relieved by, and so was my wife. I was like, I want to do this, because I thought, after football, vocationally, I'll never really enjoy anything again.
Yeah,
that was the fear of like, that's why I want to take it as far as I can. And so I had, that was kind of the new passion, the new thing to kind of pour all of the things I'm learning into and kind of attacked that, just like I did professional sports.
Yeah, it gave you like that spark of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And like you think about people, like that's all you need to keep going.
Yes.
It's just a little bit of hope. I think it's such a powerful thing.
It is.
And so that, while it did not go, maybe to the level maybe you hoped it would, it gave you that spark, which kept you moving forward.
Yes.
What kind of opportunities followed from that?
I got a CBS guest star on what was it called? Some hospital show. I forgot. Code Black. And then, I started picking up some recurring guest stars. I played Triple H in the Young Rock series on NBC. Played Titus in season 2 of The Righteous Gemstones on HBO. Played Joe Fiol, one of the angels in the Lucifer series, and I played one of the leads called Keller. His name was Keller in the Safety movie on Disney Plus. It was like a Clemson football true story movie.
Yeah,
those are probably the ones people mostly recognize me for. There's been a bunch of others, but 20 plus.
Righteous Gemstones, I think.
Yeah. Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a wild show.
Yeah, I loved it. That was probably the most fun set I'd been on.
Danny McBride. I mean, I'm sure he's fun to be around.
He was. The whole set was kind of like an extension of just how cool he was. In some ways, it was very not Hollywood feeling, and
that's
very
cool.
Just like relaxed, and everyone was cool, and you didn't feel like there was 50 layers of subtext to everything everyone was saying. It was just like we're out here shooting, having fun. And what was really cool about that too is like it was so well written. Just like reading the script, you'd be dying laughing because it's so well written.
Yeah.
So you don't change anything of that, and no one would ever want to change those words. You spit it just how it's written, and then they would just keep the cameras running, And so then Adam Devine is in there, and he's very improvisational. And so you kind of always are on your toes because, like, if he might lob you something, it's like, okay, you better be ready to oop it,
Yeah, not just die cracking up because it's probably pretty funny stuff too. So you're like, dude,
yeah,
you got to be ready to like absorb that. Yeah,
yeah. So he'd like lob you stuff. You got to be ready to say something back, and that was really fun.
You said that acting was shattered to a degree.
Yeah.
Where did that chapter hit a wall? And you talked about this a little bit at the beginning, and that's why you got into the content stuff. Maybe cover something that you hadn't yet as far as that goes.
Yeah. So I got the acting thing. It was again going really well and kind of very quick. God was opening all these doors, and again I was like thinking like I guess I'll be like a superhero next year or something at this rate, you know. And then you get hit with a big drought of 6 months or whatever it is, and you're like, what's wrong with me? And you talk to other people, like, nothing's wrong with you. This is normal. Like people don't usually get guest stars for 5-10 years sometimes, and it's like, well, it doesn't work with me as an athlete. I need to be able to put my hands to something every day. And so so I started screenwriting and just trying to stay busy, but there's really a lot of unhealth as an actor, if that's all you're doing, if that's your main focus, if you don't have something else that you're equally, passionate about or that you have some control of in your life, because you don't have much control as an actor.
Yeah.
And, because you don't know what your agent's doing or when you're going to get that perfect role that you're just right for and it's going to help you. But I just kept going after it, and, thousands of hours of training and audition, and then, finally booked this, what I think would have been my breakout role, big role, series regular role on a big show. And there was, a kissing scene in it. And, it was right before COVID, I booked it. So I'm attached to it. I'm like, yeah, fine, COVID it up, dude. Take as long as you want. I'm going to work after this. So I'd be prepping for that. I just felt really good about it. And my wife was always, pretty adamant. She didn't want me, being romantic with any other women in film and doing that. She was just very, protective, and I get that. But I think eased her mind and just kind of tried to convince her, I need to do this for my career. Everyone says I'm a leading man. Like I won't make it without, having that aspect.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go wild, but like there's nothing wrong with a little kiss, and yeah, so she kind of reluctantly agreed. And then, we had our boy during, COVID or right before, and she grew more and more uncomfortable. And long story short, it was just like I had to walk it. She didn't feel good about it. We didn't see eye to eye on that. I didn't feel like, oh, that's going to be a sin. It's, going into that knowing where my heart is. But it would have been a sin against her because I'd be knowingly hurting her by doing it. Yeah. And it was, I was a total jerk throughout that process. I didn't handle it super well, even though I did honor, my wife and what she wanted. But I wasn't pleasant, at all. Throughout.
There's like some resentment built up, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably the most unhealthy time of my life. And I regret the way I handled it, even though I, quote unquote, made the right decision. You put a lot of stress on her. She actually had a pseudoaneurysm around that time, below her brain and her neck. And anyhow, so I had to walk that role, and they weren't willing to take the kissing thing out. I just felt like it's over, like it's done, and if it fell into a really deep depression on that one, and just felt like okay, well, like this was my way to like make something of my life after football didn't go the way I wanted. Like this is the ticket. This is the the springboard, and now I got to walk this. I just couldn't find anything good in that, and over time, I was actually at the place too. I remember this. I journaled about it and everything in prayer. I was like, God, if this is like, I went on a fast of sorts where I just like would not listen to anything in the car, just pray and try to get his direction for my life. And I was to the place where I was like, I'm in so much pain, like, what I could get out of acting, I just don't even care. I don't want to feel this anymore. So if you want me, like, you can have it. Like, if you don't want me to do it, just give me something else I'm more passionate about. I trust that you'll do that. I trusted him enough.
Yeah.
That and I felt his goodness enough to know that, like, this is my worst nightmare right now. I'm enduring, vocationally. Like, I didn't think I'd ever have another passion like this, and I have to walk it now, potentially. Mm-hmm. You can just have it if you make it very clear to me if you don't want me to do this. And it was the next day I booked the Righteous Gemstones from an audition that I did maybe over a month prior I totally forgot about. And I was also pinned for another feature film that was going to shoot in Canada for a lead role. And I was like, well, man, that was unreal, and I knew God had me there, and it's kind of a nice place to be in, as an actor, in that I have a lot stacked against me in what I can play if I can't have any of those, maybe I'll never be a leading man, but I'm okay with being a really fun, side character or supporting lead, or just super buff guy, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like if whatever jobs I'm meant to get, I'm going to get, and it's God that has to basically provide it because I got a lot of boundaries within what I can do there. And another really cool thing that happened is one of the offers I told you I received over the past year, we're going to shoot October 5th. And, you know, we get through it and I read the script and I saw, okay, there's a kissing scene here. I'm not going to be able to do it. And I remember just feeling like I was like, just keep reading, you know, and I kept reading through it. And they gave me the role, and I told them, okay, there's just that one scene I can't do. You know, is there any way we can work around that? And long story short, they kind of like made a way. Why don't we have your wife stand in for that?
Awesome.
It's like, dude.
Yes.
Holy God, man.
It's cool. You know, what I appreciate that is that, I mean, obviously, I think you've just been worked so hard. You know, you went through what you did with the NFL. You know, your dreams kind of shattered, getting into acting, this big role. I mean, it's understandable with where you're at. And the fact of the matter is you could recognize that you were being kind of a prick.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel guilt about that, you know. And guilt and shame are good things. You've moved past it, obviously. It's been some time. But what I'm getting at is like, man, oftentimes what I figure is like the right decision is tends to be the toughest one, you know?
Yeah.
But you didn't fold. Even though it stuck with you and hit you pretty deeply, you didn't fold and you did the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and you could have easily just been like, you know what, if you don't support this, then peace.
Yeah.
You know, I got to go to Hollywood. You know, but the thing is like even then, when you cross a line, a value line, standpoint, whatever, it almost opens the door to like, okay, what's the next line that you're going to be approached with? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I jokingly made a thing about I would never do something like that. I'm not a big fan. I don't support that stuff personally. But you know, it's like you start with the feet pictures and then someone offers you more money for this picture, right? And then you're like, well, man, you know, it's just this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then for me, it's like I always, you know, facing a situation like this is totally different, but I've been on several romance novels. I'm on like 70 books.
Oh, really?
Right. But I had to draw a line with every photographer. Like, I won't do photos with other women, you know, because I'm like, well, what if my wife was cuddling up with some dude on a photo? Like, I don't care if she's acting. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody touching my wife. You know, it's like you got to flip the shoes, even if it sucks, because you're like, damn, it could be a missed opportunity. But then the right thing just bleeds into like more of the right thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So
does.
It's good for you to like have stood that ground, even though it was a tough decision at the time, but being able to recognize that like shortly after, like amazing opportunities came. So
yeah, you know, and I think where the conflict came with that was just like, I have to honor my wife. I knew that was the decision I was going to make because, you know, I was bonded to the vows that I made to her. You know, like I'm not going to step over that. I'm not going to step over, you know, my beliefs. But dang, I tried to convince her many more times, which caused a lot more stress. And the way I went about it was just not good. But yeah, you know, I'm glad I went through all that.
and you own that.
I own it, and I've learned a lot from it, and I wouldn't be the man I am today. I'm a very different man now than I was then.
I was going to ask you, you know, being a movie guy, being an actor in the acting, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Forrest Gump.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I love Forrest Gump.
Nice, man.
That's a movie that if it's ever on TV at any point in the movie it's on, it's getting watched.
It's not what I expected, man.
Yeah, you know, it's like that perfect blend of humor and heart. And I think his character and just the way he played Forrest Gump was really beautiful. And I think it's like aspirational in a sense to how people want to be, you know, and they want to see the good in things. And I think his naivety and like innocence, you know, it was so like childlike but beautiful. It's like, man, you want that in your own life. I could cry at any moment of Forrest Gump. It's so good.
I'm going to watch it again with what you just said.
Yeah.
I'd never given it that time, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I hear you. No, I loved it, man. It's a great one. I also grew up on a lot of, you know, comedies. I love Tommy Boy.
So comedy is your thing.
I love comedy and especially like the ones where it's like comedy to heart. Like if you took all the jokes and the gags and bits out, it would be a great story still, you know.
For sure.
I think that's the heart of a true comedy anyhow.
Sweet. Lord of the Rings is my favorite, dude. I can watch
yeah.
the first one, Fellowship of the Ring. I can watch it over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I just love the story, man. When you get into Lord of the Rings, it's just so like applicable to life. There's so many values that I just stand by when I look at Aragorn, right? I'm like, he is just this archetype of what you want to be as a man.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's just so cool. But yeah, I'm huge. I mean, the whole legacy right here is Lord of the Rings, but
Yeah, I need to go through that whole series again. That'd be good to do in adulthood. It's been since I was a kid, really.
I do want to say, well, I appreciate, your insight on like, reflecting on that and then that shift in your acting career and like what's come from it. I want to ask too, and I feel like you already had said it when you talked about like asking God, you're at that moment where you're like, just put it to the side if it's not what it's meant to be. So I was going to say, was there a moment where faith stopped being something you knew about and became something you actually needed? Like, when did you really lean into that? I mean, because you've talked about faith being pretty important throughout your life, but was there a time that it came to where you were really like, oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like it really hits you on a different level.
Yeah, I think that moment that I told you about, I think it for decades there's been a bunch of moments like that when it usually comes up against a big decision or a big hardship or just being at the end of your rope emotionally and having nothing left to try to control. Like the pain is so great, it's like, God, you're the only way out of this. I don't want to try to control anything anymore. I'm just sick of feeling like this. Just whatever it is, I give up, man.
Yeah.
And he always pulls through for me as far as just helping me to see things through the correct lens and through his lens and providing for me, it's big.
How does your faith hold up, going through a season like you just came out of with all that? Would you say it holds up when the body's sick, the mind's breaking, and the ambition that drove you your whole life has gone quiet? Because that's when it's really tested, right? So what kind of kept you solid in that? Because you see a lot of people like, why is this happening to me? And they start to separate from faith.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm still human and I still go through all the same hardships. I think, I'm a Christian and life as a Christian doesn't necessarily mean things are any easier or that it's just foo-foo, la-la, like happy. Many things in some ways it's harder. There's more. Anyhow, I think, especially in times of hardship, there's certain times where it's like, man, everything is dark. I can't see anything through a good lens. I can't feel anything good. So I'm just going to try to not punch a hole through the wall and make any sort of decisions out of this emotion and try to live the way the Bible tells me to live and just try to not screw anything up today and wake up tomorrow and try my best again then. And oftentimes I'll wake up feeling a little better the next day. I think also in those moments, there's been so many kind of encounters and experiences that I've had just feeling the presence of God that I would never really be able to doubt. And so I know, even if I think what I'm experiencing is BS and there's nothing good that can come from it, I know that I'm still within his purpose and he's going to bring good out of it. And there is a reason that I'm going through it. Even if I'm just, spewing just venom, and just nothing good's coming out of me,
I appreciate that, man. And it goes back to why I like Lord of the Rings so much, because I think one of the main things it shows me always is that like the light's going to always come. Like no matter how dark it gets, no matter how pinned up in the corner, like you fight till the end. Yeah. And that light's going to come, even when it's hopeless.
Yes.
And I think that lines up with faith wholeheartedly. Yeah. Even in the midst of the most chaotic times of your life, if you're willing to fight through, that light's going to shed.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And you probably had to go through a lot of that, in the season of like when the black mold was going on and made you sick and there was some depression there. I mean, I could dive into the whole full circle thing, talking about the acting and the football together. Full circle is this Madden movie, right? Like you're bridging the two together. Yeah. In a way, because you get to play one of the greatest of all time in this movie, but it also bridged something you're passionate about is acting. And I think it's really cool that you get to kind of merge those two worlds at the same time and be a part of that. So I'm stoked to check that out. And, dude, you're going to be a stud in there. I already know.
So,
yeah. Have you already done it? Like,
yeah, we shot it last summer. I'm always a little tentative of like hyping it too much because I don't know how much of the final cut I'll make. Because the football stuff, it's mostly the movies about his life after football and how he got into the broadcast, and the video game and all that. So it can't probably make it past the setup too much, but they shot so much footage, even just for the football stuff. I had a lot of talking parts, so I just hope I get some of those in there.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
In your life now, what does creating give you that achieving never could?
Yeah, creating, I think, it's like we're all made from a creator, and we're made in his image, and we're meant to create as well. And so when I'm doing that from a good and a healthy place, it's without interference and the technology and the distractions, I think usually that's when the best stuff comes out, and it feels right, and it's not, to your point, achievement oriented or end goal oriented. It's it's fun, it's free, it's wholehearted.
Just putting yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a version of Miles that you had to grieve, that you had to bury to become who you are now?
I think if anything, especially the people that I played in the NFL with, they're always like really surprised when they'll see the stuff I'll post online. They didn't know I was funny. They didn't know I was so business oriented, just so on my P's and Q's when I was playing, just trying to like make it through another day and learn everything and not screw up and just keep this NFL job that I kind of shut that part of me out, or at least they didn't see it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you just like became more alive from that.
Yeah.
What does rest mean to a man who has been chasing something since he was 10 years old? Have you ever actually known how to stop? And we talked about this a lot earlier. So yeah, what does that look like to you? Or is that something you're still trying to like get to?
Yeah, I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Just trying to learn?
I'm not good at resting. I try. No, I don't really try that hard either, to be honest. I need to do better at, taking in what's happened, reflecting. I feel like I learned so much stuff, and that's great. I acquired all this, but I don't necessarily take the time to figure out how to implement that. I'm always kind of thinking, next thing, okay, next creative project, next thing, what can, short circuit this process and help me to level up over here.
Yeah.
And, just slowing down, I think, would help with that for me a little bit. It's counterintuitive, but I think it would pay dividends as far as being able to make some of that progress quicker.
A lot of men I know I talk to on here, man, especially high achievers or very ambitious guys, like it's one of the most difficult things for us all.
Yeah.
It's just resting or being present even. It's just like, it's only, we don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
We could talk about it, what it looks like, but then maybe to some degree, but it's still something, man, guys I know that in their 50s or 60s that still struggle with,
Yeah.
What do you want men sitting in the dark right now to take from your story?
Yeah, I think, if it's a shattered dream, or if you're just not feeling hopeless, there's not just one dream in your life you're supposed to live out. You can find new passion for new things that you didn't even know would ever light you up in your life. And there's a whole lot that God put in you. And there's a lot of little mini secret powers you don't even know about until you kind of just keep going and keep trying and keep following your gut.
Yeah.
And, the best is yet to come if you just keep your head up and keep moving with it.
For sure. All right. These are quick. One thing football gave you acting never could.
I think physical grit. I'm sure there's a lot, but that's the best I can come up with right now.
Okay. Yeah. It's rapid fire. So, hey, we could always reapproach that down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Something you used to believe about yourself that you had to let go.
That I'm not articulate.
That you're not.
Yeah.
You're not just like a big dumb jock.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I get that
limitations that I've always said. I'm no good at this, or I'm no good at remembering names, or I'm not. So I think that's one of them. I always stumble over my words. No, actually, I get paid to say words. That when I'm in the zone or we're talking, I can actually articulate myself well. It's just a matter of focusing.
It's interesting the images we build of ourselves sometimes from the outside when that's not reality at all.
Yeah,
like it's just built in our head. And you already answered this other couple in your story. What do you do on a day-to-day when everything feels heavy and you still have to show up?
Try to stick to my commitments and my beliefs and live those out, whether I feel good about them or not.
Sweet, man.
Mm-hmm.
And my final question, Miles, I ask everybody this question. This is the question of the show.
245 pounds.
I was thinking that earlier because you asked me how much I weighed. Okay, thanks. Now I know.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was otherwise going to text you, like, dude, send me all your stats. How much do you bench?
4 or 5 guy.
So funny. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's always the question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter where you go. Like, even if it's not the most important thing, people are like, well, how much you bench?
Yeah.
So there's something to that. But Miles, what is your relentless pursuit?
I think it's making the most of what God put in me.
Maximizing.
Yeah, maximizing that and not wasting the talents that he's given me. Yeah.
Right on, man. Thank you for that. Yeah. I appreciate that answer, and I appreciate your time here today, man. Where can everybody go find you? Where can they support you, in your endeavors?
Mostly on socials. If you want to go follow me on Instagram, it's at Miles James Burris. It's at Miles Burris TV on YouTube and TikTok. And I've got a Facebook page as well, Miles Burris.
Guys, go show him some love. Miles,
Hey,
I appreciate your time today. I'm going to move my mic, and I'm going to shake your hand real quick.
grab me.
Hey, man. Thanks for your time, brother. All right, guys. Till next time. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned in this show, and honestly in life, is that healing doesn't live in just one lane. Some people find it through addiction recovery, some through therapy, some through faith, some through hard conversations that they've avoided for years, and some for finally being honest about what they're carrying. I started this show to give people a voice, to share real journeys, real struggles, and real growth. And what it's shown me is how many people are walking through similar battles, even if it looks different on the surface. Through this platform, I've been connected with people across so many lanes: addiction recovery, mental health, veterans and first responders, faith, marriage and relationships, trauma, and everything in between. I want to say this clearly. If you're listening right now and you're struggling, please reach out. You don't need to know exactly what you need. You don't need the right words. You don't have to even know exactly where to start. But through my network, I'll do everything I can to get you connected with the right person in the right lane for where you are. That's what this show is about. Real stories, real connection, and reminding people that there is a way forward.